Hi guys, how you doing? So today we're going to talk about domain models within your systems and specifically the canonical model and why it's a really important concept and why you should be thinking about it in your systems, especially if you're working within system integration. So let's have an example here. You have a new business, a new system, and you have someone who goes out and sells something, and you call them in your system. So your domain, you're going to call them a sales representative. Okay. Well, that's fair and good. You're talking to your own systems, your own system. But what happens when your company grows and you buy another system? And they have the same concept, but they call it an agent. So now you have a sales representative and an agent, and the two systems now need to talk together. So that can get very messy because you're converting from one domain model of the specific application into another. While what you can do is actually introduce a canonical model. So before you integrate with another system or send data across the wire to anyone, you convert from your domain model of your system into the canonical model. So that's a single uniform model that everyone understands and everyone knows how to convert from their domain model to the canonical model. So now we have a sales representative in system A. It gets converted into, let's say, an agent. And the agent, so then the new system can look at the canonical model and say, okay, an agent, I know that refers to this in our system. So, do you see where I'm getting at? So now the system, they don't need to know about specific domain models of different applications. They just need to know about the canonical model and how they translate their data into the canonical model. So it's a very easy way, or a very nice way, to perform system integration. And especially if you're acquiring new systems or you're having to do lots of integration. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. So I'm going to be creating two small applications, their own domain models, and then I'm going to be creating a canonical model, so it's going to be a schema, and then I'm going to convert from the domain models of the application, so their own schemas, into the canonical model, sending that across the wire to the new application, which then converts the canonical model into its own domain model. So I hope you guys enjoy the video and enjoy the beautiful views here on my balcony. It's very nice area. The marine's just down here. A nice view across the sea. So the canonical model is actually an enterprise integration pattern, and that's in the enterprise integration patterns book produced. And I'd just like to show you the website here. So it's an easy visual representation of what I'm about to do. So the question is, how can you minimize dependencies when integrating applications that use different data formats? So that's really application B doesn't want to know about application C's domain model inside application B or any other applications. So what they're doing is, before B sends across the wire, say into C, it translates into this common canonical data model, and then it sends it across the wire. System C then accepts the canonical model, it understands it, and it could then translate it into its own domain model. So there's the visual representation. I recommend you go and check out this website here and read a little bit more, or actually go and buy the book. So there's other aspects to the canonical model that I want to talk about as well. You know, I thought I mentioned before in the video that it was easy, but it's really not easy. It really depends on the size of your organization. So if you have a small company with small systems, then yeah, it could be easier. But if you have a huge enterprise with massive systems and many of them, then it's going to be very hard because you're going to need excellent tooling. You may have elements or attributes in certain systems that aren't in others, or maybe they are in others, but they're required in one and they're not required in others. So how do you deal with that in the schema? And you need really good people who understand the systems and the business process behind them. Now, there are lots of industries that already have a canonical model out there. You know, I know some finance domains have it, and finance XML. And you want to, of course, consider versioning of your canonical model, because as it evolves over time, you want to maintain that and ensure that it's backward compatible and it's not going to break older consumers, and how you're going to deal with that strategy. So what I'm going to do here is go ahead and start writing a little bit of code. So if what I have here is pre-generated projects, and I created these in my Spring Boot JMS integration tutorial. So if you want to know how these work, or how the JMS annotations work, or the JMS template, etc., please go and check out my other video. I'll provide the link here. But what we have is basically a publisher. So in our publishing application, we have a JMS template, and we convert and send a product. So this product is a shared dependency. So I have a Maven project with a schema file, and inside that schema file I have a product. So in this example, that product in this schema is going to be our canonical model. So what I'm doing essentially here is I'm already sending the canonical model across. So I'm sending a product, it's getting converted into XML because I have an XML converter there. Our consumer then is listening on the CMM queue, it's going to pick it up and convert it into the product. So that is essentially our canonical model going across the wire. So what we want to do is actually introduce our domain models of our applications. So if you see the product's got an ID and a name. Well, in our publisher application, we don't have the concept of a product. What we have is the concept maybe of an item. So I'm going to go ahead and create an item object. So this is what it would be like in real life. So inside that item, you're going to have, I'm going to call it an item ID, and you're also going to have the item name. So I'm going to go ahead and create these objects. I'm just going to create a toString method. So what we have now in our system is an item. So we essentially have item, we're dealing with items, and inside our item we have an item ID, and what we're going to do is use a UUID as well. And in our item we're going to set the item name, and we're going to use my name there as well. So what we do is, when we're dealing with this item in our publishing application, so that's system A, before we send it across, we don't want to have to send an item across the wire, because consuming an application, we don't want them to know about an item, we want them to know about the canonical model, and that is essentially the product. So what we do is we then have a converter. So we would convert these, so item.getItemID, and then we would have item.getItemName. And then you would send it across the wire. So do you see what I'm getting at? This is our internal domain of our publishing application, and before we send it, we then convert it into the product, which is actually going to be our canonical model. So you can have a translation layer. So that would be it's typically you can create a functional interface with a convert method. It'll take it from type T to type V, and it'll convert the two. So it will be converted from an item into a product. So it's very simple, and in your consuming application, when you consume that product, well, maybe you don't have the concept of an item. Maybe you have the concept of a seal. So what we're going to do is create a seal object. You know, it can really be called anything. And inside that seal, of course, you have your you have a seal ID. And of course you have the seal item name, you know, some crazy name. Maybe you definitely don't want to expose that across. Maybe someone's came in and then created an object with a really bad name, and you know, user guys are suffering for it in the future, which is now. So when you consume that product, you know that you want to create a seal. Well, you can say seal.set seal ID is the product ID, and you can get that in name. So now in our application, we now have a does not take it. Get set. So now in our application, our consuming application, we consume the product, but we don't actually want to use that canonical model within our system. So we convert that product into our internal domain, which is the sale, and that can be used throughout our services and any other functionality within the application. So I hope that made sense. So if I go ahead and bring back up the canonical model, you'll see that in our example, our internal domain model of A was the item. We then converted the item into the product. Product went across the wire. That got automatically generated in the XML for us. Again, you can see it in the tutorial. Our consuming application consumed the product and converted the product into the sale. So therefore, the first application, the publisher, doesn't need to know about the sale before it publishes it, and the C doesn't need to know about the item. All they need to know about is the product on their own internal domain. So it's a nice way. It can be easy if you have small systems, or it could be very complex. You know, it's great if you have a very good team who really know their systems, but it could be very complex if you don't. So it's something to consider in your applications, and I hope you guys enjoyed this quick tutorial. And be sure to subscribe to the channel if you like these videos, and I will see you next time.